This morning we are continuing with what we are doing, which is about studying or research. The grade 10 students are on distant learning because our school is being used as a venue for a sporting event. What we are to study today is about an example, a research article that come from Eric. But before we start, I would like to let you play this one is called 50% chance. Then where there's a question and then there will be two choices. So this one is called, that's why it is a 50% chance of being correct or wrong. Okay? So this one is sort of review. Try to answer it. Number 1. This section provides context of your research. It includes relevant information from books, journals, and credible sources. Is it scope and delimitations or background of the study? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The answer is background of the study. Number 2. This identifies the main issue your research aims to solve or understand. It sets the direction for your study. Is it objectives of the study or definition of terms? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, the answer is objectives of the study. Okay, number 3. These are the specific questions your study will answer. They will help down the problem into smaller, manageable parts. Is it research questions? Background of the study? So which one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The answer is research questions. Alright, number 4. This section outlines what your research aims to achieve, including both general and specific goals. So which one is this? Scope and delimitations or objectives of the study? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the answer is objectives of the study. Number 5, this explains the importance of your research and who will benefit from its findings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The answer is significance of the study. You know, grade 10, at this point, you got to already have the idea of forming a good research group, wherein all the members are knowledgeable about research and you'll have no lazy bone member, or in the senior high school they call it dumbbell members, members who really do not contribute at all. When I say contribute, it means they find research articles, they read it, and they share the information that they got from it so that you'll be able to craft your research easily. I prepared a poem here, so let's listen to this poem and ponder about this.
The Lazybone Research Team. We formed a research team of beautiful and fun individuals. Day and night, we never did work at all. In our team, procrastination is our art. Although we cram a lot, we still can't start. The deadline loomed, a fearsome beast. We hadn't researched any background of our topic yet. Our paper, thin as morning dew, consisted only of a page or two. Now here we stand before the panel. Confidence a sinking channel. Questions fire ahead of us. What is your research problem? What's the relevance of your study? What's your scope? Who are your participants? What are your research questions? What are your study's limitations? What is the method of your research? We glance around. We don't know what to say. The beautiful one's smiles are no help today. The fun and jolly ones are now so worried and silent. Our study seeks to find. That is all we can say. Every question is Greek to us.
Last time we discussed this in our class. Well, the main point is one has to really be prepared for research. and how to really stand in the shoulder of giants. That is to know how the previous researchers, or those researchers who have done the study about the certain topic, had written the research. Yeah, it kind of reminds us that study research and not become dumbbells or burden to the research team. One such way to be prepared to be in research is, of course, to read and study existing research. These researches can be downloaded from ERIC, one of the research databases. Reading the introduction of research article can help the reader to understand the study's background, purpose, and significance. It typically outlines the research problem, provides a review of relevant literature, and states the research questions or hypothesis. As you read research article, you gain ideas on how this article is written and how the study was conducted. Grade 10 students, it's very important to read research articles. In our high school research, the components of Chapter 1 can be 1. Background of the study, 2. Statement of the problem, 3. Research questions, 4. Objectives of the study, 5. Significance of the study, 6. Scope and delimitations, and 7. Definition of terms. Likely, all of these components can be seen when we carefully read a research article. The research article that we read in class is about noise pollution in Turkish elementary schools, evaluation of noise pollution awareness, and sensitivity training. The researcher of this research is Nermin Bulunuz. It was a research in the years of 2013 and got published or accepted in March 2014. And I got this from ERIC, or the Education Resources Information Center. Students, when they check a research article, the usual thing that they say is really long. So what I shared was this. First, to get the bird's eye view of that chapter, to read the first sentences and the last sentences of each paragraphs before beginning to read it thoroughly. So what I have when I did that is this. The first paragraph is telling noise will become a problem in the future. And in the second paragraph, mentioned is the need for more studies about noise pollution in school. I realized that at the onset of this writing, the researcher stated a major reason why this is relevant. Her study is going to add more knowledge about the issue of noise pollution in that certain area because there are really few studies which are existing about that topic. The third paragraph talks about the definition of noise pollution. On this one, exposition was done. I think that's really important to define what is the issue. And she got a definition from the World Health Organization of what is noise pollution. In this same paragraph, the intensity of sound that causes stress was also discussed. The next paragraph talks about previous researches about noise levels in Turkey. It is followed by another paragraph which talk about the most appropriate level of noise. The second to the last paragraph talk about the bad effects of noise. And finally, it talks about what the researchers want to do on her research, which is noise awareness and sensitivity. She stated here that this is being ignored in the curricula and in schools, furthering the evidence that there's a need and this study is significant. In this same paragraph, she talked about what causes noise pollution in school. Dear grade 10 students, you can see from this example that the background of the issue is well established. When you say Chapter 1, you got to really provide a rich information about the issue and how does it affect the people and the problem that it causes, and of course stating as well your objectives and emphasizing that this is and proving that this study is significant. As I've said, there are 7 components of Chapter 1. The first one is the background of the study. So in this article, noise pollution in school, specifically in Turkey, is said to be detrimental to health and learning. And it also added that studies indicate high noise level in schools, but there are very few studies, and it is really affecting learners. For the statement of the problem, the researcher wrote, this study aims to assess noise pollution in 2 elementary schools in Bursa, Turkey, and its effect on students' health and academic performance. And it added it will also evaluate the sensitivity training program created by the researcher to reduce noise pollution. The statement of the problem should be clear. Like in this study, it's specifically mentioned that it is studying 1 public elementary school and 1 private elementary school. And it says very clearly that the noise level is being checked in these schools, and there is a sensitivity training that's developed by the researcher and applied to the setting. The third component is the research question. Research question is smaller and made more specific. So the researcher got 3. Number 1, what are the levels of noise pollution in a private and a public school in Bursa? Number 2, what are the effects of noise pollution to students, teachers, and authorities in the school? Number 3, what are the effects of the school noise reduction training program on the actual levels of noise in the selected school? The fourth one is the objective of the study. In this article, it's saying that it wants to measure the noise pollution levels in the 2 areas, on the private and the public elementary school, and to evaluate the effects of noise on students' health and academic performances, and to provide training as well. So, component number 5 is significance of the study. So this study, it was said, will provide valuable insight into how noise pollution affects students' health and learning in Bursa school, offering recommendations for improvement that will benefit students, teachers, and school administrators. We also have seen that there are very few studies about this. Noise pollution in school is not much being focused on schools and of course in the curricula, and a lot of students really don't know how to be disciplined in controlling this noise that they produce. For number 6, component number 6, scope and delimitation, the researcher really made it clear she will be studying only 2 elementary school, 1 private and 1 public. She specified the place, Bursa, Turkey, and she said that students and teachers were the participants on this. And I think we can see the numbers of this research participants when we go for Chapter 3 methodology. Stated here, the study does not address noise pollution in other areas or schools outside Bursa. That's the way how you do research. You got to be very specific and honest. That's academic integrity, as we learned in the previous lessons and podcasts. Got to possess that. And the last component is the definition of terms. Noise pollution, decibel, acoustic design, noise mitigation strategies are defined. As a researcher, we have to define terms so that we will be clear, and if our study will be reproduced or repeated in another place by another researcher, then they can get it right. We will be on the same page because everything is well defined. Dear grade 10 students, as students of research, we are all students of research, we got to have that discipline and mindset that we ought to read research articles so that we can learn to stand in the shoulder of the giants. Knowing how the researcher wrote or how did she develop a background for her study is really very important. I'm really looking at existing research articles as patterns. For example, my study will be about extreme heat and students learning, like what happened in the previous years wherein we had classes last March, April, May. If I'm going to be standing at the shoulder of a giant, I would start first with saying that issue I am tackling on my research is really a problem. Next, I'll be stating the fact that there's a need for more studies about this issue. And then what will follow is the definition. I'm going to define the phenomenon that I'm studying, and I'm going to define extreme heat. And next, as what Nerlin did, she talked about the intensity of sound that causes stress. Perhaps I can talk about the intensity of heat that's that can cause stress and even danger or death. Next, I'll be talking about previous researches. This will be for really related literature. Dear grade 10 students, chapter 1 of a research article from ERIC or from other databases is a mixture of really chapter 1 and 2. Journal publications, they're only giving a specific number of pages, so the researcher really have to shorten the article that she will be submitting. I also like the way that Nerman stated the most appropriate level of noise. Then I could perhaps research about the most appropriate level of conducible temperature for students to be focused. And then she stated bad effects of noise, and I can also state bad effects of extreme heat. She had done an intervention here. That's why she discussed noise awareness and sensitivity training program. On my end, if I'm talking about extreme heat, perhaps there could be an awareness for extreme heat and an intervention program that the school can do. So I can research for that. Finally, she stated here what causes noise pollution in schools. I can also discuss by researching and getting information what causes extreme heat, that discomfort. That's what they mean when they say to stand on the shoulder of the giants. That is to look at the patterns, to look at the ways how a researcher who had previously studied the topic that you are studying. Alright, well, thank you very much for listening to me. We're now on it's almost already morning here, that's why it's kind of already noisy. So, just don't forget this, grade 10 students. Here's the abstraction of our lesson. Don't forget the definition of each component. And hopefully, you can write even just a rough draft, not a full-length chapter 1. This distance learning, I already given you some instructions on an intermediate paper. Be able to write even just a rough draft, as I said, of chapter 1 of your chosen research topic. Now, of course, don't forget the initial step. That is to find research articles about the topic and to really read about it. Okay? So I'm only expecting that you can comply on this one. And when we return back to school on March 10, that's the first thing that I'm going to check. Good luck, everyone. This is Gilvan, and thank you very much for listening in our podcast here in Ponderings with Teacher Van.